Welcome back, Brawlers and Baku crew members. It's BakuBrad96 here with a brand new Bakugan TCG video. That's right, I have a new deck list and I can't wait to share it with you all. Now, this video was requested over on the Discord server. I originally wasn't going to be doing a video on it, but heck, why not? It was requested, right? So, starting things off, giving everyone a little background while I roll out the team. This is going to be for Fusion's Fit tourney that he has coming out. And I know what you're thinking. I already had a deck, I already said I had a deck, and I even already made a video on said deck, but last minute's notice, I did decide to switch things up, and go the more, turtle power, turtle flying out. Anyway, I did decide to go the more friendlier, just casual route, and I decided to make a deck of all of my Battle Planet favorites. So as you can all see, I do have Darkest Tertonium Ultra, Ventus Mantanoid Ultra, and lastly, Chaos Garganoid Ultra. So going through the stats, Chaos Garganoid is a shield and green fist, B power of 400 with 3 damage. Mantanoid Ultra is a green fist and helix, B power of 600 with 1 damage. And then my favorite little turtle boy is a Magic Shield and Green Fist with a B power of 500 and 3 damage. So that is the team and some of my most iconic favorite Battle Planet Gons. And I decided to build a deck around them and their Evos. Now obviously this isn't going to be the most competitive deck, but I don't really care, right? It's just for fun and I just want to play in some virtual brawls. Finally got a webcam. It is shoddy, but I have one and I am ready to play. So the core lineup is literally just the generic bests, plus 650 Magic Shield, obviously, a plus 300 regular shield, a +3/+3 helix, and then the last 3 green fist spots are going to be plus 150 B power and plus 2 damage. So that's my team favorites, and that are my core lineup. I'm hoping that'll end up very well. I didn't want to use any of the faction-based cores, because obviously I have a mix, and there was no way to properly or evenly distribute them, in my opinion. But on to the main deck, right? Like, I can't just sit here and talk about the team. I will start off with the main cards, I guess. Or, you know what, I'm going to flip through. So I will start off with the Evo package because this deck does revolve around the Evos. And the Evos have no synergy, so this is probably going to bite me in the behind, but I don't really care. So starting off, I have 2 copies of Dark Fortune. Now that card is really good because for 3 energy, you can search your deck for an Evo, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Just a way to get your Evo cards if you don't draw them. I do have 2 of each, but this just is, it's kind of like having 8 instead. After that, how we play those Evos is 3 copies of Divine Intervention. So this card is huge for the deck. 4 energy cost, but you must reroll your Bakugan, and then if you open on that reroll, you may play that Bakugan's Evo card for free. Now I know what you're thinking. I have a horrible time rolling, and I'm always throwing the bread and missing, but these 3 Gons, believe it or not, I can actually stand. So with Divine Intervention, you know, that kind of guarantees the stand with the reroll, and then I'm able to play their Evo cards without having to invest the energy. Well, I mean, obviously 4, but it does give you a free reroll on top of playing that Bakugan's Evo, and I feel like in this specific tournament setting, that will matter. Now then, moving on to the Evo cards, 2 copies of Hyper Garganoid Ultra, 3 energy for a B power boost of 700 and 5 damage. Not bad, but if you have 3 or more heroes in play, it does give you 500 more B power and 5 more damage. That will come up, but sadly my deck only runs 3 heroes, so it would be really hard for me to actually get there. After that, though, I have 2 copies of the Hyper Mantanoid Ultra, 4 energy for a boost to 1001 damage, but it gets 1 damage for each energy card you have in play. By the time you get this Evo out, you should have 4, So with a spread of 1,005, I think that's alright. Not too awful. And then my Turtley Boys Evo, of course, is Titan Tertonium Ultra. The only downside to playing this card is you do lose your entire hand when you play it. But by turn 4, the way this deck is, I'm hoping I don't have much of a hand, or at least I shouldn't by then. But the stats are 1,015, so he is your big damage win Bakugan, and you definitely want to get your attacks off with him, or a team attack would be huge. After that, it's just the regular cards, so going through, I guess I'll start off with the heroes. The 3 I chose are Lightning. Now, the reason I chose Lightning is because I really only have him as a good hero in these 3 factions. I thought about Winton, the copy that reduced the B power or damage a second time. But, I didn't really like it at 4 cost because the idea of the deck was to get your Evos on the 4 cost curve of the deck. So I didn't want to have a lot of 4 cost cards. So I chose just 3 copies of Lightning. And what it does for 2 energy, when you open a Bakugan, it gets +3. That does stack. So the more times you open a Bakugan in the turn, or the more copies you have, that damage just builds up. So the idea is that's how you're going to get a majority of your damage, because Mantinoid and Garganoid, well, Tertonium, without their Evos, are low on damage. So Lightning really fills that gap. Otherwise, it's just relatively, in my opinion, general good stuff in the deck. So 2 copies of Baku Spring. It gives you Shadow Strike and draw a card, which Shadow Strike does matter. You won't have your B power or damage prevented. And again, in this format, I think that's going to matter. 2 copies of Holy Flame, because the deck does have Green Fists and it could pop off. 1 energy for +600 really matters. I thought about running this at a 3 of, but because the deck only had 3 Green Fist cores, I didn't want to invest too heavily into that mini strategy. That being said, though, I did decide to use the 2 Mega Punch that I have, because attaching a Green Fist to a Bakugan on turn 2, followed up by Holy Flame combo, is really solid, and I thought that might get me some wins. Tying in with Mantinoid, this is really the only energy ramp I have, and that is Stoneblade. So 1 energy for +2 damage, and if that Bakugan is holding your Green Fist, you get to energize it uncharged. So a small Green Fist package in the deck, not nearly as big as I normally do, but I thought it was worth it given the factions I chose. And then some more card draw with Baku Fetch. Again, we want to see those Evos. +4 damage, and then you get to draw a card for each Baku core attached. This was Chaos Blessing for another reroll, but I chose to get the damage boost and then the draw over the damage boost and reroll. I don't know if that was a good option, but I've already submitted the deck, so it is what it is. 2 copies of Eldritch Darkest Doom, in case things don't go my way. It just takes 700 off of an opponent's Bakugan. To opposite that, I have 2 copies of Light's Courage. 2 for +4 isn't that great, but on the up chance that I have more Baku core than my opponent, it's 2 for 800 B power, and that's a much bigger deal, at least in my opinion. I think that was really good. And my deck didn't have a lot of ways to actually gain B power outside of playing the Evos, so I had to throw something in there, and that is why I have these last 2. So all of you know, if you've seen my deck profiles before that have anything Chaos and Darkest in them, I always run these because they are absolutely amazing. I have 2 copies of Fusion Flames, which is nice. It's 3 energy for +800 B power. Not bad at all. The energy curve is a little rough. That's why I have 2 copies of Light's Courage to maybe get that 800 sooner. But otherwise, it is just a really fantastic card. You get a lot of output for what you put into it. And then 2 copies of Glorious Charge. So this is the highest cost card in my deck at 5. Which I know it's kind of weird to play something over the deck's win condition. Again, that being the Evos. But I wanted a big, I wouldn't say a win more card, but I wanted a plan B. Inglorious Charge is my plan B because it gives a Bakugan plus 9 B power, or plus 900 B power and plus 9 damage. That is very powerful for only a 5 cost card, and I think it will come up. I keep saying this, like everything I put in the deck, I'm hoping there will be instances where I'll be able to use those cards, and they will be in my favor. So that's it for the main chunk of it. Now it's just the flip cards, and I really struggled with what flip cards to use. I'm not gonna lie. I have no idea what my opponents are gonna use. I have no idea what the meta is gonna end up being. This is the first time I think Fusions has held a Battle Planet through Geogun Rising only tournament. So yeah, I have no idea what to expect. I just built for fun, and gonna see how it goes. So anyway, blah blah blah, right? My flips are a copy of Darkest Snare, blocks a Magic Shield holder. Dazzle, it blocks a Helix. Web Snare, which blocks a Flaming Fist. Confuse blocks a Flaming or Magic Shield. Rock Riser, which blocks a Shield or Magic Shield. And then Sonic Shield, which blocks a Fist or Flaming Fist, which kind of just give me coverage against various Bakucore, holding Bakugan, rather than specifically trying to block factions or off factions from my deck with the Outsider cards, which cost 3 energy flips. These all cost 1 or 0, and I'm hoping I'll get more use out of them. The real worry I had was, do I use flips at all? But ultimately, I knew that my Bakugan weren't the strongest, so I knew I would be losing some brawls, and I have to have the flips, so I don't just out and out lose, right? Then the last card of the deck, probably the best flip I have, 2 copies of Darkest Ventus Disarm, which for only 2 energy, and it is a flip, though, you do get to destroy a hero or Baku gear that cost 4 energy or less. I feel like that's going to be very powerful with my opponent, disruption and all that. So yeah, hopefully that turns out great. But this is the deck. I don't know how good it is. Let me know in the comments down below what you all think. And I'm looking forward to playing in the match. I don't know if I'll be able to record my end, but I absolutely would love to. If I happen to, I will start recording at least my ends of the brawls, so you can all see how I play the game, or it would be a good way to commentate a how-to. I don't know, I'll see, but until next time, brawlers, stay safe, drum up, Bakugan Brawl, and throw the bread.